Coming to you straight from the Rio Grande and beyond, broadcasting to the four corners of the globe. So grab your seat, your coffee, or your sundowner.
Okay, everybody, here we go.
On point, as always. This is Gloves Off. Gloves Off. Gloves Off is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by the best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.
We're back at you in Gloves Off, and today I have a great friend and one that has been standing tall for Laredo, Carlos Benavides III. How are we doing, Siwa?
Great, Paul. Great to see you again, my friend. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, and it's always fun talking about what's going on and everything that's happening here in Laredo. And you got a project going here in Laredo. What is it?
Yeah, well, I guess this project that I have probably epitomizes what you're talking about with the Gloves Off, because our project is the Pescadito Environmental Resource Center, known as PERC, or what we call Rancho Vehicles Waste landfill project out in eastern Webb County.
Let's talk about that. It's another landfill, and there's folks that are for it, and there's folks that are against it. Why do you think people are against it? What's the main reason? Or is it lack of understanding, or is it basically scare tactics that folks are putting out there?
I think for the masses, the people that are against it really just don't know what it is. And that's the big problem that you have. There's obviously a few people that are politically motivated to see us fail for economic reasons, as you're probably aware. But we've been toe-to-toe, sticking it out and trying to make something of this project.
You've been to the state. You've been several times in front of legislation. And everything seems to be passing, everything going in your way. What is the holdup? What is the key holdup here?
Well, as you know, we've been working with the TCEQ. That's a governing body that the state has put forward to allow you to get a permit. And politics have come about here and there, but we have successfully gotten a conditional preliminary permit from the state, which is allowing us to move forward. We've done so. The opposition has been after us, so they've requested a contested case hearing.
What is that?
Contested case hearing is a specialized court called SOA, State Offices of Administrative Hearings, in which they have specialized district judge, similar to, say, a Becky Palomo here in town. But these are judges that do nothing but statewide projects that have statewide implications that may help or hurt the masses. And so this is a project that obviously has roots larger than just Webb County. And so we fall into that category because of our permitting process. And that trial will begin on July the 8th and end on July the 19th.
Right. One thing that I keep hearing about is toxic waste. And people keep saying, you know what, toxic waste is going to go there, it's going to hit our rivers, it's going to kill our water supply. You start seeing everybody that wants green, and we're all for green. But what happens is everybody is using these scare tactics. Basically, I'm going to call them that. Okay? And they seem not to understand what it actually means by toxic waste. Is this toxic waste from Mexico that originated in Mexico, caused by the Mexican government? Or is this toxic waste that American companies made in Mexico that have to come back here?
Well, unfortunately, I think you straddled me with like 4 questions there, but basically, taking one at a time.
Sure.
Toxic waste as just a buzzword, a name, whatever you want to call it. Yes, our facility will take toxic waste in the sense that anywhere from a gallon of milk or 100 pounds of salt could be toxic.
Sure.
If we put trash in your house here for 2 weeks straight with a 103 temperature, in a very short amount of time, it will be toxic. You could die if you lived in here. And so there we go. Anywhere from that to some of the things that we're talking about, bringing in construction debris, demolition debris, storm debris, things that we could showcase our ability because of the movement by rail to the facility. Yeah, you're going to have an element of toxicity, but what you got to understand was the most important thing is the permit I'm seeking is the same permit that the city of Laredo currently holds, the same permit that Ponderosa holds. And if all the people that were upset about me building a facility that has 0 human beings living within 3.5 miles, 0, why aren't they concerned about the thousands of people living around the current landfill? Why do they keep on building schools, middle school, elementaries, right next door to the facility? Do they not care about those people?
No, you're absolutely correct. There seems to be a double standard. There's like, we do this for us, and let's not do it for somebody that's willing to do something for us. Understand what I'm saying?
Oh, sure. So let me try to continue answering your questions. So you talked about maquiladora waste, which is Mexican waste, and you've been hearing that I'm going to bring it like I'm creating it, and I'm bringing it like on purpose to hurt Laredo. On the contrary, that waste has been generated for decades, has been coming to Laredo for decades, and nobody said a word till now, because now it's important to beat me. And where has that waste gone? The City of Laredo landfill. And has anybody gotten hurt according to the City of Laredo? No. So if you listen to the City of Laredo and everything's fine at the landfill there, which now has grown to be 2 giant pyramids, that they want to make a third inverted, where are the people that are upset? The same people that are saying that there's a problem, they should be jumping, screaming, throwing themselves in front of the bulldozers, allowing the continuing of a landfill that should have been closed 5 to 10 years ago.
You're absolutely correct. Like I said, it's these scare tactics, and it's all about politics here. You know that.
Absolutely.
Laredo seems about politics. If they don't like you, if you stuck your tongue out at somebody in 6th grade and now they have a position, they're going to go after you now. That's the stuff that occurs here in Laredo. That's what we deal with.
That's correct.
If you did not see somebody at a red light, which because you were driving, you're paying attention because you're driving forward, and they were at a stop sign, oh my God, it seems like you hate them and their family and so on and so forth. So that kind of childish behavior we have to get rid of for us to go forward. And
we need to move forward, and we have to be considerate of the burden that we're putting on our citizens. Everybody understands taxes, impuestos.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody understands that. And as you know, because of previous administrations, we're having some struggles within our local city council and how they're meeting the goals necessary to provide services for you, the public. And instead of looking at projects like mine that can generate money free of taxes, where you have private investment that comes to move forward to help to provide better services for the community, I can't see why they would want to challenge it. Furthermore, the current landfill in Laredo, as I mentioned to you, has already really passed its time. Yes, they've gotten permitting to allow them to fool around there for a few more years, but it should have been closed already. To close the current landfill, it would cost the city between $30 and $40 something million. Where are they going to get that money from?
Oh.
Our friends out there and you and I.
You're right.
Do they care?
No, they don't. Well, they come up with this flag of peace and we love each other and we're doing this for the betterment. And they're always claiming about how businesses have to come in here. You're generating businesses and you're generating jobs. Are you not with your landfill?
Absolutely. In fact, our project could employ up to 47 people, highly skilled people that could do a very good job. And we would also support secondary people from different industries that would be interested in tag teaming on our project, similar to such projects as the Arrowhead project in Atlanta, where there's multiples. I'm talking 20, 30 maquilas right next to the landfill in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's awesome. Now, here's the next question. Why are you so interested in doing this?
Well, obviously, we have a vested interest financially. I've never lied to anybody that we want to make money, but who doesn't? This is America. That's why people come here, for opportunities. But down deep inside, at the end of the day, everybody knows I'm an environmentalist by heart. They know the hazard designation I got for Camino Colombia back in the day that everybody scoffed at. They know that I've made the changes to plastic bag bans here in this community that they scoff at. But our successes are being realized globally, where different countries and states, like New York, not 2 months ago, made it prohibited all single-use trash bags in the entire state of New York. So there's people out there that are going to get this done, that believe in this more than whatever the challenges we've had local. So I must congratulate RISC and everything they've done to achieve those things, but they have to be wide open to understand that our landscape is changing, that we are the biggest parasite in the planet Earth, that we now dispose of 300 to 400 million tons of plastic into our oceans today. It's got to just blow people's mind out. That we currently have 400 dead zones, zonas muertas, en nuestros oceans throughout the globe. I mean, that is amazing to think about that. That there is plastic land masses greater than the United Kingdom floating or buried somewhere in the ocean. That we are about this close, according to last night's KGNS report, where plastic is going to outnumber marine life in the ocean. This close. So what are we going to do, Paul?
We all need to start, and it has to start at home. And,
Exactly.
it's our habits.
Absolutely.
It's our habits. We have to understand how to recycle. We have to understand the reasons for recycling. We have to understand the reasons of consumption. And we have to step up the game. You know what? Don't throw that in the waste. Don't do this in the waste. But what happens is that people are lazy. People have changed and they have lost respect. Okay, they've lost respect for the environment. They've lost respect for themselves. They've lost respect for the cities that they live in. And that's why we have this problem.
And we need to change that.
And we
you can go to countries, for example, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
like New Zealand.
It's shot.
They don't even have chewing gum because it's plastic. But they know they have limited resources and they're going to live. They are making the bold strides to make the difference. They're not sending off their recycling to China like we are. Like the United States of America, we don't recycle. We don't recycle. We're lying to ourselves. Let's truly recycle. Let's truly invest those dollars to make changes. We can't stick our head in the sand and say, oh, I flushed my toilet and where it goes, I guess I really don't care. Or I put out my green or blue botes and I don't care where the Treviños take it, or I don't care where Resendiz takes it. But shouldn't we care? And shouldn't we care to go to the best place? If we had everybody, we could have the conversation like you and I have been having here for hours. I mean, literally, you and I could stay here till midnight on just this topic. On what we could do locally. There's so much we could do locally. If we all stood on the river, hand by hand, every single Laredoan, and told one Laredo, and sit there and say, stop dumping your raw sewage into this river, do you think somebody might pay attention? But we don't work together. We want to create divisiveness. And it's all people with big money that don't give a shit about the regular people.
No, you're absolutely correct. And we cannot go around with scare tactics either. You see, scare tactics actually make people fear what they don't know. And you have to educate yourself. And you, right now, you're educating me about a lot of things. And we've been talking about this for a couple of hours already. And you've been telling me exactly how it works and where it's going and how it's been working in the past. Because people out there do not know. They know this narrative that's been told to them. That narrative has to change.
Right, they're being told that they're being poisoned by me. And I have yet to take one cargo of anything to my place. But if you believe that I'm going to poison you, well, guess what's happening today at the Laredo landfill? And what's going to be happening at Ponderosa? The poisoning will be there. Or it's already there, Paul. And I'm telling city council, the mayor, the city managers, that we can make a difference. And why is that the case, Paul? Because we have the best cover and liner material known to man that's naturally created by Mother Earth. And that is the most beautiful, densest clay that is, almost impermeable. And we could help recreate the current landfill. And we could leave it open indefinitely as a depot to us, utilizing the Kansas City Southern Rail System to and from. So it's not on city streets, it's not on state highways, but just a railroad, which is the safest form of transportation in America today, to deliver our trash. And as far as I'm concerned, if the trash is created in Houston, that's my trash too. I live in the same state. If that trash is created in Laredo, it's my trash too, because that's my city. I mean, you and I grew up there. Shit, we never knew what a bridge was on purpose. We'd go by ourselves when we were 12 years old, back and forth.
No, you're absolutely correct. And like I said, things have changed, things have adapted. Now, here's one of the scare tactics that's going out there, one of the scare phrases of this narrative that's out there. You're going to ruin our water supply. Does it connect to a river anyway?
Not at all. In fact, the Corps of Engineers and FEMA have found that I'm disconnected and not hydrologically connected to the Rio Grande, as stated before, from the burrito tank. Now, that being said, we know that water does come in and around us, that we would manage through the use of berms and whatnot to move, and arroyos, to move water around our project, which we will contain and protect all fresh water. I have all the vested interest to keep it fresh. I have 12,000 acres around that ranch, I want fresh water for my cows, for my exotic game from all over the world, the endangered species that we have there today. I invite anybody to come out and let me show you what I've done for decades. Paul, this has not been my first day at doing things to help the environment. How many species have we saved from existence?
Absolutely.
Several. And we've been at the forefront, not last year, not when it got popular or when I needed to do it. I'm talking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We started doing this when it mattered, when they were on the brink. And that's what we're going to continue doing here. But guess what is the most endangered species today? We're looking at it. Each other.
Homo sapien.
That's right. And why? Because we're the biggest parasite in the world. And if we don't care that there has to be a circle of life that we create, currently it's a dysfunctional one, broken, where we do many things and shed what people call prions and things like that, bad things into the rest of the world. Such as if we threw trash out of our car, if we flushed the toilet just into the ground, and things like that. that no longer can exist. It's got to change. And unfortunately, the people that are trying to hurt us here are the people that are utilizing people of lesser means to do their bidding. But the people that know, such as the state of Texas, which for the second time has granted us a preliminary permit at the TCEQ, understand that A, our project is needed, and B, our project is a good one.
After this hearing in July, more likely it's going to go forward. Let's say you're granted that. What other step is needed for you to start this project?
So at that time, we make a submittal to the commissioners at the TCEQ to finally do the final hearings for a final permit. And the judge or judges, because there could be multiple judges, currently there are 2 judges on this case, would come and make a report to the commissioners, as would TCEQ. This is the commissioners of the TCEQ.
Sure.
At which time a public hearing of sorts will be held in Austin. And the commissioners will hear again from both sides on why yes and why no. And then they'll make a decision based on this project.
So basically, this can take up to another year and a half, 2 years, huh?
Well, the possibilities are always there that it could take longer. I mean, as you remember, Ponderosa, I think, took 8 or 10 years. And they had similar opposition, although theirs was more justified because they do connect to the Rio Grande. In fact, the Lobo Creek was right to their banks of their walls this last week when we had all these big rains in Laredo this year.
Sure.
And it functioned. See what I'm saying? And they had a real creek with real thousands of millions of gallons of, running around them. And it's manageable. And that's what people understand, that these kind of things do happen, that we do get water around us and we manage for it. But our facility is the most state-of-the-art designed for the maximum amount of safety, not only in prevention, but detention, and then also monitoring on anything and everything. But you asked about fresh water. As you know, Paul, there is no fresh water out on that part of the property. It's all saltish, brackish, or worse water. In fact, my brother performed a test the other day showcasing a method that's utilized by some simple people just to figure out what kind of water you have. So he took 3 glass vases. He poured 3 inches of water in each one. The first vase, he put Ozarka water. The second one, he put City of Laredo water. And the third one, he used a water well from a location out there by the site. And in there, he put 6 beans, frijoles, 6 frijoles in cada jarro. And in a few weeks,
It sprouted.
they sprouted. The ones from Laredo City water slimed up and didn't do anything. They kind of just died. And the ones from the well out there, they disintegrated. So when people are telling you that we're hurting our water, that's water that we just got a report back from A&M that says it's not potable for humans, not potable for wildlife, not potable for horse and sheep and goats, not potable for irrigation. So what am I hurting? Again, we're going into the best location possible.
And that's what happens. And we have people here, we have leaders here that want to use brackish water as our drinking supply. They want to distill it. You can't distill water that's no good.
Well,
if it's not potable, it's not potable.
It's very difficult.
Sure.
It's very difficult. It can be done but then you also create, believe it or not, a hazardous byproduct, which everybody knows. It's table salt. But in this case, it would be a dirtier version of table salt. And so then you have to deposit that hazardous material somewhere. So, and unfortunately, the volumes, Paul, are not great. Like if it was 1,000 gallons a minute of brackish water, well maybe, but this stuff barely seeps through little ribbons here and there. And so you have to drill so many wells and you don't recover enough water to make it all work out. Before you know it, everything, your whole system's getting rusty, not working before you know it. And it's just, you're fighting an uphill battle. You know that when I ran for county judge in 2004 for the 2006 election, I talked about secondary water source. And there was only 2 locations. We're either going to get it from Corpus Christi in the ocean, or we're going to get it up here from the folks around Carrizo Springs. And as you recall, you and I had conversations. I think we even did a visit with several people about it, where I wanted to aqueduct the water down the Rio Grande, minus out evaporation, and then redraw it for our own water, so we would not have to build a pipeline. So the winter garden water or the ocean, that's our only options for the future. And if you can't see if it hadn't affected us, look at our surroundings for the last 25 years. Go to McAllen, Edinburgh, Mercedes, everybody down the valley, they're booming. Everybody used to say we were in a fight with McAllen. Well, I guess nobody told us we lost the fight.
Oh, we lost it long ago.
Pat, those places are booming.
They're gone. I mean, they've left us. They've done laps around us, and it's sad. It's sad to see because Laredo has so much potential, and it's just been like if somebody put a foot on it and it hasn't grown.
Paul, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And why is that? Why aren't people coming here? And why aren't Fortune 5 companies coming here? Because we have no diversification. We have a finite resource and the most important thing necessary for humans, which is water. You know? I mean, the little things that we do, like this Bartlett Creek little, park area. Do you see how many people go out there? Our community's starving for facilities. Well, why are we doing more stuff that makes them get connected with nature? Because you know how valuable that is. I know how valuable that is. You get somebody out at a ranch or around water, real fresh water, and it changes the game.
It changes their aura. It changes them, period.
Yeah, grass, birds, flowers, trees. It starts the imagination process. There's a part of the brain that can't grow unless we expose people to that.
That's exactly right. Now, earlier today, and we're talking about the Columbia Bridge. We talked about the hazards and the hazard waste and the hazard chemicals that were going through there, and you were the only one that had gotten permits. Explain that.
Well, you've heard a lot of people say that I have failed businesses, right? And I don't know how Camino Columbia has failed if it exists there today. And I don't know too many people, Paul, that have brought $99 million to their community to develop a project that ultimately helped everyone. But when we were first getting our permitting, one of the things that I put in as a requirement is that we would take all oversized 18-wheelers and we would take all hazardous material directly from us to the Columbia Bridge so that it would not have to enter the city of Laredo, either the ETJ or anything. Because the Columbia Bridge is a hazardous bridge, right? And so we got that federal designation, and because of local politics, they kind of messed up the situation and allowed people to utilize double transfer so that was an exemption that the city and the state did so that they would not have to adhere to the federal designation, which is a tragedy to our community. And so people are saying that, I'm going to bring this and I'm going to bring that. But Paul, you know this as well as I do. The hazardous waste or hazardous materials or hazardous whatever or toxic whatever, it's here already. I didn't create it. I'm not the one making the waste. I'm just offering a trash can to put it in, where it's a respectful, safe, genuinely heartfelt, connected location that I can oversee and be the man that oversees that job. That's what we would want, I think. I mean, I respect the people that run the current landfill. But if they wouldn't cost them their jobs, and you asked them, should that city landfill be running today, they'd tell you no. They just can't tell you no because they'll lose their jobs.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct.
So we're allowing people that have no understanding of anything and that won't listen to people that are bucking the system and say, no, we got to keep it open because we don't have the $40 million bucks. What are we going to do? You have the city councils coming in here. Ask them that. Everything I'm telling you, they'll say is true. And they're trying to figure it out by maybe making a deal with Ponderosa. But it's not that simple with Ponderosa. Because Ponderosa doesn't have the material like I do and the same quality and the quantity to make the changes needed by the current landfill.
Well, here's a question that just opened up. How is the current city administration, city council, and mayor dealing with your project? Have they asked any questions? Have they come by? Have they?
No, it's pretty much, I've been iced. They're not interested in talking about it at this time. But I think everybody is spooked. You know, most of the community doesn't know this, but we were actually really close to making a deal with the city back around 4 years ago, until new administration came in and kind of upheavaled all that, and upended everything. And the reason is they know that Pescadito is the right option for Laredo. And I go back to, you cannot stick your head in the sand and pretend that where I flush my toilet, I don't care where it goes, and we cannot pretend that our botes are just going wherever. We need to know where they're going, why they're there, how they're being managed, all the way to the end. Because if not, it's a problem. I mean, as it is, we have a problem. There's 13 landfills where people have homes in Laredo that are living on top of landfills. They don't even know they're living on top of a landfill. And there weren't even landfills then, they were just dumps. I don't want to hurt people, I want to help people.
So, with that being said, we wish you the best luck for moving forward, because we all need to move forward on this project. Okay? For the the benefit of Laredo, we do need to move forward. And the benefit of Texas, we need to move forward, because there's a lot of trash that's going everywhere else and we also need to be more careful on how we're going to dispose of our trash and what we're going to depose our waste. And that's just the bottom line. We have to start stepping up.
And I respect the others in the game, the Treviños and their efforts.
Sure.
They're thinking, progressively. They're not waiting to see what happens. But no, they're spending private capital to invest for the betterment of this community.
Sure.
Anytime people do that, it's a good thing. I'm not saying there's not room for all of us, because we have serious management issues. We have tons of tires and things, refrigerators thrown from here to every Webb County line on all our county roads that we could be picking up and putting and managing and working with the county, with the city, so that this no longer exists. There's tons of open pits in every single colonia in Webb County that are an improper, illegal dump that should be rectified. And we could do that. Just like they pick up those roundups for batteries and acids and things, we could do more of that, Paul.
And that's what needs to be happening. I think now the narrative, listen, for the folks out there, I'm as green as they come, okay? You know that. But also what you need is, you can't use a scare tactic. We have to start using educational tactics. We actually have to educate the public.
And we can't just show pictures, Paul, because people are inoculated to horror these days. So they see trash or they hear about all this the plastic in the ocean, and it's almost doesn't affect them because we are so
desensitized.
Yes, that's the word.
And
that needs to change.
That needs to change. You see kids growing up. We grew up and we had Yosemite Sam come out there with guns up there, but we didn't have shootings. We had the Ataris and the cowboys shooting at each other. We all had all those games. Now it's kind of like, now they have machine guns and they're shooting at each other in the video game, and they're desensitizing the feeling of our youngsters. There's no respect. Parents really don't, they're too busy making ends meet that they have forgotten to become parents. So what happens? The kids are educated by somebody else that has another different type of mentality in our school systems. They have lost respect in general. And we still have good kids out there, don't get me wrong. But you know exactly what I'm saying, that they don't care. You know, you have kids in urban areas, they'll pull out a gun and shoot you, they don't care.
No, I understand.
And you know, that lack of care is like, wait a minute, buddy.
Why do you think I've been on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club for 37 years? Why do you think I've raised millions of dollars with my other board members to make a difference? Because we know the plight of the single moms. We want to help. We want to offer opportunities. You know, we worked at just starting a new music program recently at Boys and Girls Club with the help of Joe Arciniega, and it's wonderful. And these kids now feel like they have different opportunities. Did not have that opportunity, you know. There's some of the people like Telemundo had a little spot on this where they spoke against my project, and this lady, Maria Salazar, was talking about that there's no parks to paint, you know, to offer different diversities in the arts. The arts is a healing method, you know, that is in our heritage, our DNA. All our predecessors were artists of some sort.
Let me tell you something. You're right about that. The Boys Club's been around for a very long time. Okay? The Boys Club is a 501c3, it's a non-profit. Yes, they do get help from the city every so often, from the county. They do get help. Okay? And the Boys Club, a non-profit entity, run by individuals such as you and other great individuals that we have in there, in Loyola, they're doing excellent job with our kids. It's always the private entities, well, non-profit going, that are the ones that are stepping up. Our city has beautiful recs and parks, and they're lacking. I mean, they're behind the times. You know, I ran into a couple of them 2 years ago. I was flying back, and I saw them in the airport, and they said, "Oh, we want to build a science rec center like they have in San Francisco." I can't remember where they were coming from. And I'm like, fill out the ones you have now. You know,
diversify the ones they have now.
The boxing gyms that you have, they're empty.
No, I told them they should give some of these to the Boys Club. They should partner with us because we know how to take care of kids.
Or partner with USA Savat. You know, we know how to take care of kids, and that's just the way it is. They just don't. They're archaic in nature. You know, they're like cavemen inside, looking out of the cave. Oh no, we have to stay in here. You know, we can't go out there because they're going to eat us. Listen, somebody else is already going to eating your lunch, and it's a private person that's actually paying your salary because of taxes that's eating your lunch. In this case, a non-for-profit, but the ideas that come out of the Boys Club, hey, they have to be implemented in the other ones.
And we have to survive. And hopefully we can go to the city council one day and get more from them. And I think we will. You know, eventually. As you know, I'm always very optimistic about everything, and I'm blessed. And because I'm blessed, I need to share that blessings, and I want to do it all the time.
Well, we're ending here, but number one, I'm telling you, keep on moving forward, and the best of luck.
I appreciate it. And at any time, if anybody needs to call me or talk about this, 956-763-8973. That's my cell phone since I've had it since the beginning of time. My email, ccitollroad@aol.com. So I still believe in what people think has failed. It still lives.
Oh, it still lives right now. People use it daily.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's just the way it is.
Paul, thank you.
No, thank you, Steve.
God bless you.
Folks, until next time, peace.
Gloves Off is always on point. On point. Bringing you the best on current issues, community affairs, and the happenings around us. This segment of Gloves Off is brought to you by The Best, so pay them a visit. Check them out. This is Gloves Off.